Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Kenny, and this is If Loving You Is Wrong, Season 3, Episode 5. Now, let's just jump right in. The episode opens up with at the police station, and Esperanza and Lucian run into each other. She's there working the night shift, and she wants Lucian to keep it on the hush-hush because she doesn't want Eddie to find out about it. They pretty much go back and forth, and, you know, she tells him he looks good, and, you know, you're looking well, and he pretty much mentions to her that she doesn't look, she looks like something's bothering her. Of course, as Esperanza always does, she gets on the defensive. You don't know me like that, Lucian, to be asking me that. But last time I checked, back in Season 1, when Eddie was about to rough your ass up in public, Lucian was the one who intervened and pretty much, separated you two. So, at the end of the day, he can definitely tell something's bothering you. I mean, you're not good at hiding shit, Esperanza. Get a fucking grip. Like, seriously. But, let's see. Also in this conversation, Esperanza wisely tells him that Alex had the baby. So, of course, he's happy and says, like, oh, great, I should call Brad and tell him congratulations. She's like, no, don't say anything. Do not say anything at all. And he's, like, wondering why, why shouldn't I say anything? And she's saying, well, you should talk to Natalie about that. So, my whole thing is, if you're going to drop the bomb, don't drop the bomb and then back off. She dropped the bomb and didn't even want to follow through. So it's just leaving him in the dark. And they pretty much, after that, she kind of changes the subject and asks about Pete, his new partner. And he says, I would rather have Pete on my team than Eddie any day. And she also kind of joked with him, like, why is it that every time I check around, he's always running an errand or something? Where is he now at this very moment? Oh, he's going to get coffee. So, Lucian keeps, Pete busy by sending him on various errands, so he won't have, I think because he won't have time to really focus on the actual case involving Ben. And, the real reason why, Esperanza's there is because she's there to train a new girl, on the phones. And she's running late, and eventually she shows up. And who is it then, other than Claudette Ortiz, from City High fame and also from R&B Divas LA. And it's actually good to see her. And she's pretty much this new girl. She's running late, and you can tell she's ratchet as all hell. And it's interesting because they kind of give off the vibe that this girl and Lucian actually know each other. So, pretty much Esperanza goes to put on the phones and start working with her. The next scene is at the hospital. Pete is actually talking to a fellow officer named Andrew, who is working security at the hospital part-time. And they're talking about Ben because Pete says he's coming there to visit Ben to see how he's doing. And, they're talking about Ben's situation. And then, Andrew pretty much immediately tries to warn, Pete about Eddie. And he's saying that, it's kind of funny that this happened because he's always around Eddie. He's around Eddie a lot. And he's saying that you need to stay away from Eddie because Eddie's bad news. He says, every time I see Eddie, I duck. So I don't even deal with that motherfucker. And you don't need to be dealing with him either. And Andrew also goes to tell Pete that, Eddie has a thing for rookies. Like, he's always coming after rookies. And Pete's like, he haven't approached me yet, but Andrew's like, but he will. And you need to watch yourself, and you need to watch your back. So eventually, kind of Pete blows it off, and says he's there to check on Ben. So he eventually leaves Andrew and goes to see Ben. We go into Ben's room, Ben is flipping the fuck out. He's breaking out in cold sweats, and you can tell he's getting that junkie itch. You know, he's paging the nurse constantly. The nurse is telling him that we can't give you any more medication, and he's just flying off the handles, and you know, he's just mad and irate because he wants medication and the nurse won't give it to him. So the nurse pretty much eventually walks out, and then once, you know, she walks out, Ben walks in. He's trying to be a concerned friend, but he's so out of his mind and so about him getting more drugs, he's just very dismissive to Ben, and it's like, oh great, Ben, you know, what the hell you mean? You know, because Ben is saying you can still work, you know, you can still, you still got your right hand, so you can still shoot. You know, you're right-handed, so you're good. And he's like, I don't want to hear that bullshit right now, man. I just shot my hand. I'm in the hospital. Everything's over for me. And he's like, no, it's not. You know, he's trying to be positive and trying to lift Ben's spirits up, but Ben is is tweaking right now, so he's not listening to any sanity whatsoever. So eventually he just tells, you know, Pete that, you know, won't you just go on? I'll be fine. I'm gone. I'm just get out of here. And Pete just says, okay, I'm sorry about what happened, and, you know, Pete eventually leaves. Then he goes back to paging the nurse again. The nurse tells him again, you know, I can't give you any more medication, you know, and he's just saying, like, you know, won't you clear with the doctor, and there's got to be something in here that you can give me. I mean, he literally looks like a crackhead asking for a hit. Like, it's that bad that, you know, he's so far gone into addiction that he just wants a get high, you know, every 5 minutes. And the nurse drops a bomb on him and tells him that, look, we have administered medicine, we have administered so much drugs to you, to someone twice your size, and yet you have become immune to the medication. So the nurse is kind of letting him know, I know you're on drugs, or you're on some type of substance, because there's no way in hell that after all the medicine we give you that you're still up asking for more medication. And, you know, she was saying that, you know, do you want me to make that a note to the doctor as well? Because Ben is so far gone in his mind, and that he's so fucked up that he forgets that he's an officer. In order for him to get back to work, he has to be cleared, you know, by the medical, you know, pretty much by the doctors in order for him to go back to work. So this shit could go on his record that he has a drug problem. But he's just pissed off that he's not getting what he wants. So he pretty much tells the nurse that, look, if you can't help me, get out of here, bitch. And just completely just throws her, you know, just pretty much kind of says, fuck you, bitch, and get the hell out of my room. The next scene, we actually see Joey cleaning up the new and improved restaurant, because remember last season the restaurant got shut up, so the owner obviously got some repairs and is now back to business as usual. And someone actually comes to the door. You know, the restaurant's closed, but this person is wearing a hoodie and they have a key, and the person lets themselves into the restaurant. And who is it other than Vaughn, the boss's daughter, who we know from past seasons that her and Joey have a thing for each other, but Joey can't pursue her because his mother said that it's pretty much crossing the line, because, you know, I mean, Natalie works for the girl's father, and she doesn't want anything to get in the way of her losing her job or him losing his job. But Vaughn is actually back from, you know, she was on a blind date that didn't go well, so she decided to come see him. She pulls out a joint, you know, says that let's party a little bit, let's get close, and it's like she's literally throwing herself at Joey, but Joey is backing away because he doesn't want to cross that line, even though he wants her. So she pretty much lets him know all the blind spots where cameras can't be seen, and you know, she takes off his shirt saying that, you know, when you know, I can work it out where, you know, all the smoke will go out this vent, and it won't get in your clothes. So he starts chiefing while she's going down on him. So that's where it begins, but then we'll go back to them later. Next, the next scene, Kelly is actually awakened by somebody trying to break into her neighbor's house. She immediately calls 911, and the new girl, who Esperanza is training on the phones, answers, and she reports to her, her neighbor's address, and what is the guy doing now? And she says, well, right now he's going to every window of the house. And she's like, girl, you need to get down. This goes to show you how unprepared she is for this job. So Esperanza immediately gets on the phone, and they have a conversation. She's asking her questions back and forth, and Esperanza realizes that it's Kelly, and she lets Kelly know that, okay, I'm sending a police officer, over there immediately, but stay on the phone with me. Esperanza calls over Lucian and lets him know about there's a situation at Kelly's neighbor's house, and you guys need to go check it out. So him and Peter on it, and again you see him look back at the new girl, and the new girl looks back at Lucian. So immediately you think something went down there, and probably it'll probably will be explored, throughout the season. So I'm thinking old girl's going to be around for a while. So they leave out. Okay, next scene, we actually see Alex. She now has a cell phone, and she's calling Brad, but, it's going straight to voicemail, and you can see his phone is actually in the kitchen, and she's calling it, and it's not picking up at all. Okay, then the next scene, we see that, Vaughn and Joey have just smoked the blunt. They're talking, and she's pretty much saying that she wants him, and he's saying that he wants her, but, he's, not trying to cross that line with his mom, and he's not trying to, he's not trying to get her to lose her job, and old girl is like, well, I won't say anything if you won't. She doesn't need to know. And then also earlier they kind of joked, like when he was saying, like, the reason why I'm not able to pursue you because of my mother. She's like, oh, so are you afraid of your mother? And she's like, oh, are you afraid of your father? And she's like, no, I'm not afraid of your father. Like, okay, you say you're not afraid of your father, but you came in here with a hoodie on, so you wouldn't get recognized by the cameras coming in here. So you don't want your father to know about this either. But it's obvious she wants Joey, and Joey wants her. But she's to the point where she's tired of waiting, and she's just going to make it happen regardless. So eventually, Joey caves in, they start kissing, they take each other's clothes off, and trust and believe they laying it low on the counter, by the concession stand, by the fountain drink stand. I mean, they are going throughout their restaurant, and he is letting her the fuck have it. I'm not even mad at it, though, because it's been long overdue for Joey. Them two have been playing cat and mouse for the longest, and finally, the mouse got trapped. Literally. So, I'm not mad at that at all. Alright, so, the next thing we actually see, Lucius knocks on Kelly's door and lets him know that they caught the guy. They go out, she actually goes out and identifies the guy, and she's like, yeah, that's him. The guy's like, you're Kelly? And she's like, huh? And she's like, how the hell you know about me? But she says, my name is Ramsey. I'm Gene's son. You talked to my mother the other day, and she mentioned you to me because me and her talk every day on the phone. And she said, yeah, but she's supposed to be out of town. Like, why are you here? And he said that she never made it. She never came. I talked to her every day. She's supposed to have been by, and she never showed up, so I flew a plane here to find out what's going on with her. Something's wrong with my mother. And, of course, he's in an emotional state. He's freaking out. He's going off. They have him handcuffed because at first they thought that he was, you know, trying to break in the house. And he's saying, I need to go in there. I need to see what's up with my mother. I need to be in there. And Lucian is trying to calm him down, telling him, like, look, you can't go in there. You need to calm down. So he sends Pete in the back to check to see what's going on. So from that, it goes to another scene. It goes back to Alex in the hospital. Again, she calls Brad's phone, and it goes straight into voicemail. But it's so funny because you can actually see Alex's number is listed in Brad's phone as lying bitch. So you can pretty much see that Brad has no fucks when it comes to Alex right now. And, you know, he's calling and it's like saying lying bitch. I cracked up. I was like, wow. Brad is pretty much over it when it comes to Alex right now. And, you know, again, it goes straight to voicemail. It then comes back. He, you know, enters through the back door to actually check to see what's going on. He comes out the front door coughing and gagging, and immediately this, you know, definitely sets an alarm with Ramsey, because he's like, what the hell is going on? What's going on? And Pete's like, you can't go in there. You can't go in there. He's like, why not? Why not? What happened to my mother? What's going on? What's going on? And he's hyperventilating again, and Lucian is trying to calm him down, and you know, pretty much Pete says, like, it looks like she died in her sleep. Immediately, you know, Ramsey goes off. And Lucian is trying to calm him down. He's emotional. He's shaken up. And, you know, it gets to the point where even though he's in cuffs, he walks over to Kelly. And he, like, leans over to Kelly and he just starts wailing, literally. And Lucian finally takes the cuffs off. And, you know, it's actually, I think this character Ramsey is going to be around for a minute. But, you know, he immediately broke down, you know, because, like, you know, he just found out his mother died, and, you know, if it wasn't for them breaking in, they would have never known. And, you know, Kelly's there, she comforts him, but she's kind of, like, unsure because, you know, he, you know, it's like he immediately felt comfortable to cry to her. Next scene, we see Alex again, you know, calling from the phone, but this time she calls the house phone, which her daughter answers, and she asks her daughter, you know, what are you doing up? She's like, well, Mom, you called the house phone and woke me up. Like, no shit. And she's like, okay, so where's your dad? She's like, okay, let me get him. She says that he's not in your room, so I think he's downstairs. While she's about to go downstairs, her son wakes up and wants to talk to her. So son gets on the phone. You know, he's talking to the mother. Casey goes downstairs and sees that Brad is not there. They get upstairs. Finally, you know, her daughter comes back upstairs. You know, her son is asking, like, did you have the baby? And he says, yes. Like, you know, do we have like a new brother or a new sister? She's like, do you have a new brother? And then he's like, you know, Dad didn't tell you anything? And she said, no. You know, Brad hasn't said anything about her pregnancy or anything to the kids. I mean, to the point that Brad is barely talking to the kids at all, really. You know, Brad is that, you know, pissed off that he's just kind of like in his own shell. And when her daughter comes back upstairs, she tells, you know, Alex that he's not downstairs, and they say, well, is his car outside? And like the brother asks, well, is the car outside? She's like, yeah, I checked. The car's outside, but he's nowhere in here. We don't know where he is. And she told him to stay put, you know, to go back to bed and don't worry. But Alex is really freaking out because the kids are up and they're both in the house by themselves. Next, we see Eddie and Ben are actually parked outside of the actual corner store where the surveillance tape is. You know, that the supposed surveillance tape that caught, you know, Eddie, that pretty much shows Eddie, you know, shooting Ben. So they're trying to confiscate that videotape. He gets Eddie out. Eddie gets Ben at the hospital. he's pretty much popping, giving, you know, Ben pills, and he's saying that it's a damn shame. You ain't nothing but a fucking junkie. And he's like, I'm sorry, Eddie, I'm sorry. And pretty much Eddie said the reason why I brought you here is because I want you to get in there and go get that surveillance tape. And he's like, but Eddie, I can't. He's like, man, stop your bitching and get in there and get that tape. He's like, but I'm not even in uniform. What makes you think they're going to give it to me? Lo and behold, once he says that, we see a police car pull up, and who is it other than Pete going into the in the concession store. So Eddie decides, okay, I'm gonna fix this shit. Then get out my car and keep yourself hidden and make yourself scarce. And Eddie goes right to the door of the police car, and the next thing you know, we see Pete coming out, you know, with 2 cups of coffee and a bag. And, you know, he pretty much corners him and was like, you know, so what's going on, you know, what are you doing out here? He's like, oh, I'm just getting coffee from me and Lucian. He's like, oh, so Lucian got you running errands, huh? He's like, well, not all the time. But he pretty much knows that's what rookies do. You pretty much get the rookies to do all those things so they can pretty much learn their surroundings. And also it's pretty much a way of you getting your feet wet. So you get run on errands all the time as a rookie. So, you know, eventually he can definitely tell something's up. And Eddie says, like, you know, what's in the bag? And you can actually see Pete shaking, because I really do believe that Pete got that tape, but Pete's not owning up to it yet. But he was like, so what's in the bag? He says, oh, nothing, just, you know, just like, you know, sugar and stuff for the coffee. And he was like, he pretty much just said, like, I'm gonna need to see what's in that bag. And then at first, you know, Pete is hesitant, but then Pete pretty much gets himself together and tells him no. And he's like, I don't think so. And Eddie's like, you don't think so? Do you have any idea who the hell you're talking to? Saved by the bell, Lucian buzzes in and actually wants to check in to see where Pete is. Pete tells him, you know, he's at the coffee spot getting some coffee, and he says that get your butt back over here to the precinct. He says, what are you doing right now? He's like, I'm talking to Eddie. And he's like, you're talking to Eddie. He's like, where are you? He's like, oh, I'm at the coffee spot. And he said, get your ass in the car and get back here. So, you know, so pretty much that was his way out. You know, Pete gets back in the car and drives off. Eddie goes back to his car, and then finally Ben gets back in, and he says that, did he have the tape? And then Eddie's like, yeah, he got that tape, but I'm going to get his ass one way or the other. So, Pete, bro, you better watch your back. I think you probably got yourself in too deep. Even though Lucius was trying to warn you, I think you've already put yourself there. So, Lucian, as soon as Eddie gets back to the precinct, you know, Lucian immediately goes in and is like, you know, where did you go to get coffee? He says, I went to the normal coffee spot. He's like, no, you didn't, because there's different cups at the other coffee spot. You went to that you went to that store to get that surveillance tape, didn't you? Yeah, because he kind of put in his mind, why the hell Eddie would meet you at the coffee spot? You obviously went to that concession store where there's surveillance. He's like, look, we had direct orders not to get that tape. Why, like, did you get that tape? And he kept asking him over and over again, did you get that tape? He's like, no, I didn't get the tape. I didn't get the tape. I got you. I didn't get the tape. I didn't do it. You know, I just wanted to check it out. He says that, look, this is far too deep for you to be in. You need to stay out of it, and you're biting more than you can chew. So he kind of like just tells like Pete, like, you need to get out of this before you get yourself hurt. And you know, and then like pretty much that was the end of that scene. Next thing, you know, we see Alice calls Kelly, you know, because Alice then she called Brad's phone, and she called the house phone, can't find Brad, so now she's talking to Kelly. Kelly immediately tells her about Ramsey and about Jean, the next door neighbor, died in her sleep, and they just took her away. And immediately Alice is thinking, oh, great, so that's probably where Brad is. And she's like, oh, no, Brad wasn't there. It was only me and Ramsey and the two officers. I haven't seen Brad. So immediately she just starts to panic, like, oh, my God. You know, Brad is nowhere to be found, and my children are in the house by themselves. So immediately that alarms, you know, Kelly, and she pretty much tells Kelly, you know, can you go outside to see if his car's outside? She goes outside and sees that Brad's car is in the driveway. Then she said, won't you go in our backyard? She goes into their backyard. She doesn't see anything. So then she asks her, could you go over to check at Marcy and Randall's house? And she's like, hell no, you trying to get me killed? I ain't trying to go over there, hell no. She's like, I know it's crazy, but I need you to go over there. She's like, no, I'm not going over there. I'm not doing it. And she's like, well, fine, I'm getting out of here, and I'm gonna come home myself and find out what's going on. And she's like, no, you can't leave. You can't leave. She's like, look, if you're not gonna go over there, then I'm coming home. So, of course, Kelly caves in and decides to go over there. She pretty much keeps, you know, Alex on the phone the whole time. She actually goes into Randall and Marcy's backyard, and she doesn't see or hear anything at first, but then when she approaches the shed, she hears Brad and Marcy in there, and she immediately is shocked, and she pretty much tells her, oh no, it's just a spider, don't worry about it. She doesn't tell Alex what's really going on. And then at first, she was also hesitant to go over there because she said that, you know, Marcy has been calling her around the clock, and she's been dodging all of her calls. Now, that to me is really fucked up because Marcy was the one who was the victim here, yet you're comforting Alex and negating Marcy when Marcy, I would say, probably needed Kelly more than Alex did. But I think they both, well, personally, I think Alex did, slow down. First of all, I think Kelly did a great thing by getting Alex out of her stupor to make her take her meds and see the baby. But at the end of the day, Marcy needed your help too, and you were the main person that Marcy relied on, but now you're negating her for Alex. That's not cool with me. I don't care. Something ain't right with that. Because Alex, I have to say that Marcy is the real victim here. So she goes back there, you know, so Kelly goes back into Randall and Marcy's backyard. She doesn't hear anything at first, but then when she gets close to the shed, she hears Brad and Marcy getting it in. She's, oh, Brad this, and he's like, oh, Marcy, you know, she hears all the sex sounds, and she pretty much tells Alex, oh, nothing's going on, just a spider, everything's fine, I'll call you back in 5 minutes. She goes out into the front of Brad and Marcy's house, you know, and she's kind of stuck there for a minute because she's, like, in a way shocked what she just found out, that, you know, Brad and Marcy are now having sex, and they're having sex in the same shed that Randall and Alex were having sex in, past seasons ago. Immediately, Randall pretty much says, what the hell are you doing in front of my house? And all of a sudden, you see Randall is there, and she's like, and, like, they're both stuck, you know, both facing off at each other, because she doesn't have an answer, and he's wondering why the hell is she there. And next thing you know, we see Miss Louise old ass come out there. Oh, Randall, come with me, baby. Let's come to the backyard. And she's like pulling him away, and he's kind of looking back at Kelly like, what the hell is going on here? You in front of my house, and now she's pulling me out in the backyard. What the hell is going on? All of a sudden, they get back to the backyard, and you know, he's like, what the hell is going on? What are you talking about? What's wrong? He's like, there's nothing going on here in the backyard. And then mother's like, Randall, come on, go to the shed. And next thing you know, when he goes to that shed, he hears Brad and Marcy enjoying themselves. He immediately, his face drops, his little rage kicks in. He goes in and pulls the shed open, and he sees Marcy and Brad getting it in while he's getting her from the back. Talk about, you know, karma on your ass. So that's how it ended. I'm actually kind of a little bit bothered that, because I really wanted more of this episode, because, you know, we kind of like went right back to where we left off from last week. But then again, it was good because you got to see other things that was going on around the same time. And it's just messed up, you know. But hey, I just say karma's a bitch. And in Randall's case, you know, karma is better suited, because dude, you and Marcy was doing this under their noses, and now they're ready to, you know, they got to the point where they want revenge, and you know, they want to get it in themselves, and lo and behold, they're doing it right in front of your face. So, oh well, bruh. Yeah, because I admit I don't like Randall. You know, I think Randall's a really evil bastard, and I really want to see him get his this season. I don't know if everybody agrees with me with that, but that's what I'm sticking with. But that was If Loving You Was Wrong. You know, subscribe to me, comment on this video. I definitely like to hear you guys' feedback, and definitely stay tuned, guys. I'll see you guys next week. Take care.